So you've already seen that Marvelous Designer comes equipped with a default avatar and also a default dress that you're welcome to play around with and use however you like. And we saw this in the previous video. But what you can also do is you can change the avatar for a number of others. And if we go to Avatar Editor, you can see here there are lots of different styles. So these are the highlighted ones currently. So we can click on another avatar and it's just going to load in a different model. And there we go. So any of these you can use as your starting point for your project, be it male, be it female. You can even change the hairstyle. So these are great for if you're just focusing on just the garment itself. You've got these great avatars to start you off. You can even change the footwear or have no shoes, make them bald. There's even an avatar for a small child. There we go. And even though we've swapped the avatar, if we click simulate, as you can see, the dress falls and interacts with the new avatar as if it was always there. So you have lots of these default avatars at your disposal, basically. Just load this one in. Give her some fancy shoes. And we'll just reset the garment, redo the simulation, just to adjust it to the new avatar. So those are the default ones that come with it. There's lots of options and lots of hairstyles, and there's always ones being added to it, and you can download new ones from the website. And these buttons here, these just change the display options. So you can change the surface so it's textured, or you can see the actual geometry of the garment. The same with the character, have it not shaded, or you can see the wireframe. The same with everything really, and in here we have this show X-ray joints. Now these particular built-in avatars, they're all jointed up, so if you want to, you can actually go in and pose them. Like so. Now you'll notice that the manipulator isn't very intuitive and it's not really orientated with the actual joints. But what you can do is in the preferences, let me just close down this window, is go to Gizmo and change the orientation. So we could go to local, and there, that's now moving with the joint. And you can then go in and pose your avatar if she or he needs to be in a particular pose for your particular clothing. We can even go Gizmo World, so that'll just stay orientated with the world, and that's really useful for when you're manipulating these actual garments around. So they're the default avatars, but what if you don't want a particularly realistic looking character like we do? Well, you can import your own avatars as well. If you just go to import OBJ, now these are the files that are supplied with the tutorial. We'll just go to base mesh posed. Now here we can load it as an avatar, which is what we want to do. I'm just going to change the size to centimeters. This again, it depends on the particular project you're working on and the scales that you need to work to. Click OK, and that will swap the default avatar with the new one, although I've loaded in the wrong file. Let's just try that again. T-pose, that's what I wanted. Load as avatar. There we go. And again, we could try this. I don't think it's going to work. Now, because the scales have changed, some of these garments have moved. If we simulate this, no, I didn't think it was going to work, but let's just move some of these up. We select those. I'm holding down Shift just to select a number of garments. Let's move these up. Probably too close together, but as you can see though, it's interacting with the new model. Now it's important that the model is high enough resolution that you get a smooth surface. Let's just stop that. If I turn on the wireframe, now you see she's quite a densely populated mesh. And if you want the clothing to fold over the surface of the model and be quite smooth, then you will need those polygons in there. You will need a smooth surface for them to fall on top of. If you have quite an angular, really low polygon model, then the garments are going to drape over the angular polygons, and that's the sort of result you're going to get. You may want that result, but for this particular thing, we want it to be quite smooth. So that's pretty much basically importing your own avatar. But you'll also notice that compared to the main render that comes with this course, the avatar is seated, yet this is stood. So how do we get, once we've built our clothing, how do we get her to be seated? Because we can't use, because we've imported our own, we can't use the skeleton joints here, the X-ray joints here, because they're not part of this avatar. But what we can do, and you probably saw this a little bit earlier when I loaded in the wrong model, is we can import an OBJ. We'll go to the posed one, but this time load it as a morph target. Make sure it's the same scale. Let's click OK. As you can see, as the simulation runs, it will morph from one pose to the other. So once you've defined your garment in the T pose, you can then load in the morph target. She will morph into position and the garment will follow her as well. And if you notice though, the issue with that is it is a straight one-for-one morph target, so it will just, the vertices will move in a linear action. If I go to the animation menu here, I'm just going to go to animation, just reset that back to the main pose, go back to the simulate menu, and we'll click this play button here again. If you watch the mesh, you'll see what I mean. You notice she deforms quite badly as she's moving between the poses. So you'll have to bear that in mind. But if you've just got a start pose and an end pose, it shouldn't be much of an issue. So that's basically an introduction to the avatar editor, which comes with Marvelous Designer. All the lovely avatars that you can use and play around with if your pure focus is just building the clothing. And I've also shown you just how you can import your own model fit your own clothing to it if you have a particularly stylized model. So those are the basics covered, I think. We've had a quick look at Marvelous Designer, we've had a look at the avatar editor and importing your own model. So I think from the next video what we will do is we will start working on our character's dress.